Oh my goodness gracious! I'm tired. I was up this morning at 5 a.m. It's now 2 o'clock, and I'm just now leaving Mohawk. I'm in the parking lot of Mohawk doing my video. It's hot. Doesn't seem hot, but it is. Decent day today, obviously, when you have the wind. It does play a role. You saw that yesterday with some of the horses, not just ours, but other people's. And then again today, it played a role with a lot of people's. Now, James and I talked about this throughout the day, how some horses it doesn't seem to bother, right? No free lunch, 27-4 on the end of it, through an extremely stiff headwind, seemingly didn't bother him. And then you look at other horses like Northern Blizzard. It certainly appeared to bother him. Now, I changed Northern Blizzard shoes, and James had said to me after, why would you change his shoes after he trained so good at the farm? I said, because he was hitting himself so friggin' bad at the farm. You know, he can't go through the year like that. So I changed his shoes. Now, he was functional this morning. Was he good? No. He certainly wasn't as good as I hoped he'd be, but he was functional. And then again, you saw the same thing with Frilly Fringes yesterday. They just can't seem to get through that wind. It hits them and they don't know what to do. They're not like race horses. And James made a good point. Some race horses, you know, you hit them with that stiff headwind and they just fall apart. So these are babies. New experience for them. Not the best of experiences for them today, but a decent day overall. We had a decent day yesterday and again today. I'm going to run down the entirety of the program, so to speak. 14 races. We had 26 horses in. We scratched Eternity Road today. He's always dealing with this issue. The way the vet told us yesterday was, it looks like he put his leg through something when he was a baby. Now there's a band of scar tissue at the back of his leg. You can't really tell. You can tell if you look close, but not really. But what happens is that scar tissue is now attached to all the ligaments and tendons in there. And now that he's going faster and really stretching them out, causes a little inflammation in that area. So it's been a little warm and it's been a little bothersome. He trained great on Wednesday, but it was eating me up. I want to know what was going on. This is the third time we've had him to the vet. First time we thought it was a bruise from interfering. You could see the scar tissue, but it was there. The second time, there was a little bit of heat, but there was heat in both legs, and we thought maybe he was just a little blistered, and there wasn't really anything, again, that you could tell that was going on, although we could see something in that left hind. Had him up yesterday, and you could tell in the ultrasound there was movement. So, I don't know how to put it. Obviously, ligaments and tendons stretch, scar tissue can't. It's like cement. So, on the ultrasound, the scar tissue was intact and in place when he was, the first time he came to the clinic. Now there's some movement there, and it's it's called, I guess, I don't know if this is the right term, it's reorganizing. So it's reattaching, it's changing as the tendons and ligaments stretch out in this horse. Come having 57 in a piece the other day, last week here. So obviously we're getting up into racing speeds. I think if we were racing right now, we could maintain him. Well, we're getting him there now. So we really just wanted to take a week, maybe even two, and just say, okay, we're going to cool this out. We're going to change his shoes behind, see if we can't manage this horse a little bit. And that is the plan here. Just not go full speed ahead and hope for the best. I mean, that's lunacy. So I think we're between the vet, James, and I, we've formulated a plan we're going to do with this horse. I didn't want to put him in the pool because I thought that was putting a Band-Aid on a much more serious problem. To put him on the pool and just take that inflammation out and then gun him on the racetrack, I think you'd be asking for trouble. I would rather work with him, jogging him slow, and let that fill in better than to just dump him in a pool. Now, having said that, once we get him to the track, there may be an ability to commingle the two, where you can jog and swim off and on different days to ensure that leg stays good. I guess the overall positive message is there is no tears or bruises or injuries of any kind to any ligaments or tendons in his leg. But there is a hunk of scar tissue there that needs to, as I said, again, it might be the wrong term, but kind of reorganize and reattach, find its way forward, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So, Eternity Road was scratched. We brought Cambridge Star over to warm him up. We did warm him up, come off the track, and he was coughing. Scratched him. So we had 26 horses. We had 3 winners today, 3 very, very impressive looking horses. We had a lot of horses that looked really good today. Some that were a little disappointing. I know somebody had said Fox Valley Britska didn't look that good. Fox Valley Britska was in Walk on the Moon. I mean, Walk on the Moon's just a better horse. Fox Valley Britska got away 4th, followed. James tipped him out into that wind. You know, there's a small horse that was a tight set of trotting hobbles into the wind. I just don't see him moving forward. Next week, we'll take the headgear off. We'll put earplugs in them. We'll intend to cut some of these horses loose next week. And I think that Fox Valley Britska trotting 59 next week. But we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. So we'll start from the top. Northern Blizzard, so mile, 2-4 and something last quarter in 30 seconds. James said he was mediocre. Did the wind play a role? Did the shoes play a role? I don't know. We can fix the shoes because we know what we had on them. Can't fix the wind. So we'll keep an eye on this guy this week and see what transpires over this week. Italian Grit, need to get some weight off this guy. He's another horse. Whereas the tight hobbles, there may be a correlation to the wind and the tight hobbles. That's a possibility. Italian Grit, get some weight off him, let those hobbles out a little bit. He's trotting better now, so let's let him trot. An okay mile from him today, and an absolutely tremendous mile from GW Chrome. I just, it was so, we warmed him up, and he didn't warm up that great. And I looked down. The other day, I purposely put a set of hobbles that we had fixed. So for those of you that are horsemen out there, you know that, or you may have noticed, some trotting hobbles come with different length. So that would be loop to loop as it goes through the pulley. That length is different. Jack's around 36 inches, I believe. Whereas, maybe even shorter in some cases. Whereas the American ones, I forget the name of the company, they're featherweight maybe. They're 41 inches. It's a long way. So the shorter ropes seem to bother some of the horses, right? Some horses will go with anything. Some horses might even like the shorter ropes, but I haven't seen any that don't like a longer rope. So I took all the hobbles, and we had bought a bunch of pulleys. I don't have a pulley with me. I bought a bunch of pulleys on eBay or Amazon, and bought rope that sounded like it was geared well towards trotting hobbles. Took all the hobbles down to the bar saddlery, just a harness place, and had them fix our hobbles. So we have about 15-16 cents of hobbles with these 41-inch ropes. We still have some that are getting fixed. So I warm up GW Chrome, and I look down, and I know it's not the rope that I bought. It's white. The stuff I bought was black. And the pulley is not our pulley. It's an older pulley. So these are our hobbles, but these are older hobbles. And I just don't think George realized yet. So it's, oddly enough, GW Chrome, we call him George in the barn. George takes care of him. So it's George and George. I don't think George the human realized that these were not George the horse's hobbles. Just with everything going on. I know where the hobbles went. I took them. I put them on One My Heart Hanover yesterday, and I didn't put them back, so maybe George just grabbed a set of hobbles thinking these will be fine, and they weren't. So I sent Amy back to the barn to pick up George's hobbles from One My Heart Hanover. Come back. I only had to score him down. I brought him out in the track and scored him a quarter of a mile, and I knew immediately. Totally different horse, back to the way I saw him the other day. He was fantastic. I just let him float over the front easy, 32 and 103. A mile in 2:02 and 2, fastest mile of the day by a trotter, and he was very, very good. Second set, I said to Mario, geez, why don't you go with I'm Hill on Wheels? You need to go with him. He said he was a little hot, made a break at the gate. I went with Lincoln Hanover. He was a little choppy. I think we maybe need to tinker with his shoeing a little bit. He finished up very strong, 29 and a bit. Mile and 2:4, and Argento, James said he just tapped him with the whip halfway down the lane, he rolled off. I thought his hobbles were a little bit long. I'm going to go with Argento next week. Mario knows I'm Hill on Wheels. He just needs to get a flat line into him, and then Lincoln Hanover was very, very good. Now, the one dig on Lincoln Hanover was he ran down a little bit on his right hind. We are going to have to switch his shoeing around a little bit, but man, oh man, he was very, very good. So apparently I won the daily double. GW Chrome, Lincoln Hanover. We come out in the third race, and the stable won that one too. Walk on the Moon couldn't look any better than this trotter looked. Like, if you watch the whole program of horses, 14 horses, and didn't think that Walk on the Moon looked very, very, very good, then you just weren't paying close enough attention. 2-3, and he looked fantastic, finishing up strong on the inside. This is a race where Fox Valley Britska was okay, finished third or fourth, looked okay. Mile and 2-4 for him. A good qualifier there. We come out in the next one. Braemar, I told everybody, we're not cutting the Braemar loose for a while. You're going to see much of, and I like to race them down the lane. It bothers James sometimes when I do that. But this colt here, specifically this colt, I think he's got a lot of muscle, a lot of weight to put on. I think there's a lot of things we can do with him. But we're going to continue to do what took place today. Sit, sit, sit. Let him finish up strong. 28 and a piece into a stiff win today. Last half 57 and a bit. A mile in 2:2 and 1. A mile in 2:02 and 1. Surreal Love was in there. 2-3 last quarter and 30 seconds last half in a minute. Can't be upset with Surreal Love. I was very happy with what I saw from him also. Pretty good qualifier in there. We come out in the 5th. Warby was up. I believe I followed the fastest horse of the day, didn't I? Twin Bee Heartthrob? I think I did. Warby was up. Just he went as fast as he could go today. 59 and 1. He just needs. He's a big colt, big round belly on him. Just needs to get stronger. So I think just a couple more starts for him will be fine. Not to say that he's going to be the best horse in Ontario, but he's going to be a useful horse. He doesn't really get that rolly. Pretty strong. Got a pretty good demeanor and attitude, so I was happy with where we was up. First glance was a little upsetting, wasn't he? Popped a little bit of a quarter crack right hind. I think you see him get rolly in the turns. Pretty sure I know why. Now, it's a couple of things. One, also, is that he wears flip-flops up front right now. That could be a problem on this track, but definitely that quarter crack right hind was bothering him today. We'll get that fixed up, and away we go. Now, in set number 6, Roy Hill did... He attempted suicide. I hate when horses do this. They leap over that shadow, and it's a suicidal shadow in the first turn. The real problem is he didn't even jump over a shadow. In the morning, there's a shadow goes right across the track, but as you get closer to noon, that shadow creeps inside the pylons. Roy Hill's qualifier, the shadow might have been out in the 2-wide path at the very most, and I went around the shadow. The problem is Roy Hill remembered there were shadows there, and the shadow roll doesn't help when horses aren't paying attention. And Roy knew it was there, leaped over where he thought the shadow was. It was close. He was pretty close. But there was no shadow there, Roy. So I was a little angry and frustrated. I hate when horses do that. And we took the shadow roll off and dropped his head down. And he spent the entire break, so the entire 50 minutes, jogging over shadows on the track after his qualifier. He was a little tired. But by the end of it, he got it. We buzzed him over the shadows at the end of it, and he never put a step in. Does that mean he won't do it next week? I don't know. We're going to find out. Normally, I would say, we'll take him over here Monday and Tuesday and jog him over the shadows, but he can't be here on Monday and Tuesday. COVID-19, we can only come here on Wednesdays. So hopefully it's sunny Wednesday and we can get a spot. We'll bring Roy Hill over here. A horse that was very surprising, Brilliant Corners. Now, Sylvain said he was really ornery, really difficult to negotiate with. You know, he was bully and strong in the face, but he did go a mile in 2 minutes. 2 minutes and 2/5. Last half in 57 seconds. Last quarter in 27 and 4. It's hard to say he went good because he's so hard on the driver. And thank you, Sylvain, for going with the horse. I mean, he didn't have to, right? I could have put Mario on. Mario's only small. I thought he just ripped Mario right in half, this horse. It's just not a nice feeling, sitting behind a horse that tosses you around. It's a much better feeling than going with one that leaps over shadows, I can tell you that. But Brilliant Corners, I told Sylvain going up, I said, full disclosure, this guy's got he's got a nasty mouth on him. It's like trying to pry a bone out of a Rottweiler's mouth. He just won't let go of you. But he finished up very strongly. Big last quarter, big last half from him. So here's the thing with Brilliant Corners. Is he just ignorant? Or did he spend a lot of time ignorant as a 2-year-old younger horse and just didn't have enough time to learn anything? If we cover him up like this a few times more, will he learn? I doubt he'll be completely flexible, malleable, but I think that maybe there's a horse in there. Maybe. Certainly not enough to say there is today. He just followed speed and made some of his own, so good for him. But a long way to go before I'm pumped about Brilliant Corners. But today was definitely a very, very good start. Then we come out in the 7th. Now, I'll be honest, Desperado and Rito Sunshine were both weak. We had some horses that were just weak today. Now, I don't know if they're a little sick or whether the wind bothered them that much. I did put a brand new set of hobbles on Desperado. Did he stretch them out? I really don't know. But usually he's grabby and he'll give you a little kick. Not today. You know, lines were on the dashboard the whole way, just picking at him, chasing him. He went a mile 2-1. You know, he was okay, but not great. And Rito Sunshine must have been sick after. They said they thought I heard him cough. His line looks like he coughed. His line looks like he had tuberculosis. But we'll get to the bottom of that. Some of these horses did have poor lines. You know, yesterday, off the top of my head, Tanzanite Tricks and Philly Fringes were very mediocre. Philly Fringe is a nice, very, very nice horse, and Tanzanite Tricks I thought would have a much better qualifier. Yet both were just very so-so. And then you come out today and you've had multiple ones. Northern Blizzard was poor. Italian Grit, poor. I can give you excuses, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. They were poor. And Desperado was not impressive today. Both the Ohio Colts were not impressive, and both the Phillies kind of were. So, we'll give them a wash because I love Desperado. I think he's a nice horse. I'm going to pull his hobbles in, maybe put some aluminums on him up front, bring him back here next week and see how he goes, but he definitely needs to come back. Rito Sunshine, if he is indeed sick, he may need to miss a week and get cleaned up. We come out right after the break with the Fat Cobra and Blue Monk, and I'd said to Mario after, maybe Monk doesn't like being on the front end. He's more of a hunter than he is a runaway, and he get picked off fair and square. I think he's a bigger colt with a bigger frame and needs to have some lines into him, so we'll cover him up the next couple of weeks. He'll qualify probably once, if not twice more. I wouldn't say he wowed me, but he was pretty good. Fat Cobra, he was sitting his outside knee the whole way. So, we have razor pads on him. We're going to take those off. Might even put an aluminum shoe on him and go again next week. The one thing about the Fat Cobra is he wants to do it. So, today was a good reason not to. See if we can give him a reason to do it next week. So, Blue Monk and the Fat Cobra, pretty good. Then we come out in the next set, and No Free Lunch looked about as good. I saw the Heartthrob horse go. He looked really good. No Free Lunch, I'm a little biased. I thought he looked as good as any horse in the property today. Last quarter in 27-4, and you have no idea how windy it was. I know a lot of people are going to say, well, it's hard to gauge because you don't know how good these horses are, right? So, was it really windy, or is Anthony full of shit? I don't know. I can tell you. Maybe both. But No Free Lunch was very, very good today. Beef and Cheddar, James said, just kind of got lost at the track. Stopped and started the whole way. A horse made a break in front of him. Really didn't show off the way we expected him to. But he's a horse, like James said, a little bit stupid. Just not paying attention. But I suspect a couple of starts here, a couple of fast miles here, and the Beef and Cheddar we've seen at the farm will definitely show up. But the No Free Lunch that maybe a lot of you had not seen before, he showed up today. That was as good a mile as you're going to see. By far the best looking pacer we put on the track today, by far, was No Free Lunch. A couple of them were good today, but not like this guy. Earplugs in. Didn't even pull them. 27-4, mile 58-4. Just a very, very good mile today out of him. And No Free Lunch has had 2-1, decent mile. Still got some work to do. We come out in the next one, really didn't know what Momo would do. James and I talked about it before. He said, she's one move. James always worried that you're going to stretch them out like they're going to die after. They're going to, it's like feeding a gremlin after midnight. Oh my God, you put it on the front, or oh my God, you stretched it out. And we don't share the same philosophy when it comes to some of the babies. I would rather know they're not what we hope they are than pretend they are, I guess is how I feel. And when it came to Momo, I put her in a position where she could have been a hair better, but could have been infinitely worse. If you'd have told me 59, 28-1, 57-4 in the wind today is what Momo would have went, I would have had a smile on my face as you were telling me that. Momo was very good today. Very good today. Very strong today. Do I think if she had a little more Rocky Balboa in her, she would have cleaned up the pair of them and won that qualifier? Yeah, probably. But all jokes aside, she was very, very good this morning. Was very happy with her. And then we rolled into the last set. Well and down, flat. 2-1-1, last quarter in 28-3. Mathematically, okay. but she was flat. So I talked to James about it. Not too concerned just yet. This filly's got a big gait and a lot of speed. Do we put the aluminum shoes on her? Is that she's slipping? Is it just the wind today? Was it just that, she needs a couple of miles to get into where we believe she can get? Or maybe she's just not good enough. I think it's probably one of the first few. I think she is good enough. I think she does have a lot to offer. We didn't get to see it today, but I suspect we'll see it next week. So well and down. She's qualified 2-1-1, 28-3. Going to give her a pass and see how she is next week. Captain's Maid. One of the more shocking things today, she was hitting her outside knee. I don't remember ever seeing this filly hit her knee, but she was into it. So I think what we need to do, Harry was on top of it right away, said need to lower her angles. I'd say maybe glue on some shoes and open up her heels a little bit. So what I mean by that is you see a horse's foot, right? Well, some horses have a little more funneled shape to them. They don't have that big round normal horseshoe foot. And what you need to do sometimes is fiberglass their feet a little bit, build them out, and let those heels expand, because if that foot isn't round the way it's supposed to be, it can be what's called a little contracted at the heels, and it can be very painful, very sore for some horses. What you need to do is build those out and spread out those heels a little bit so the feet are a little more comfortable. I think that's probably what we need to do with Captain's Maid. I told Harry we'd talk about it a little more. We're going to have lots of time to talk tomorrow. There's not a whole lot to do at the barn tomorrow. So Harry and I will sit down and talk about that. James and I will sit down and talk about Well and Down and a couple other horses. One in particular coming up after Captain's Maid. So Captain's Maid 2-1, 29-2. Decent mile. She was at her knee. I think she's got a lot more to offer, but she will not offer it up hitting her knee, so we got to get her out of that. I'm so surprised. She just looks so flawless all year. I've seen this before, and it surprises me the same every time. But Captain's Maid, not a big deal. It's not like she's slapping at her knee. You just hear her tick, tick, ticking here, ticking at it. No real damage done of any kind, but it does pose a problem. So we want to get her, switch those shoes around, square her up so that we can get her moving forward. You won't see the very best from her until we get her out of that knee. So that's job number one for this week in Harry's barn. We'll be getting some stuff done to Captain's Maid. Qualifier number 13, So Admirable. Decent mile, 2 minutes and 4/5, 33. James was actually mad that I cut her loose. This filly is rough, right? She's not, we've had her looked at. It doesn't appear that there's anything seriously wrong with her. She just doesn't seem to be physically mature. There is a voice in my head saying, why don't you just turn her out? But I think we'll tinker with her a little bit before we go to that step. I would like to put a little set of pin bars on her up front. Overall, I was happy with her tenacity. I think that's a pretty good horse. Ian Moore wouldn't cut a filly loose like that. We're up the quarter on 31 and a bit. She went a mile in 2 minutes and 4/5. So Admirable wasn't bad, but I can't believe that we're going to be able to race her all summer the way she was today. So job number one for that shed row, fixing up So Admirable. We'll make a couple little more changes with her and then see if we can't get her on the straight and narrow. Lots to offer, but not like that. She's not. So it's either fix her up or turn her out. Either way, I own a big chunk of this filly, and I'm happy to either way. That's the thing. I want them all to race it too. But wanting them to race it too when it's become obvious they shouldn't be, that's just wrong, right? That's just not proper. And when you have horses like So Admirable that are rolly in the straightaways and rough, sure, they'll do their work, but you're going to ask them to beat horses that aren't rolly and aren't rough at whatever percentage you might believe they are, 80%. You're going to ask them to beat horses that are seemingly at 100%. I'd have to ask the question, what happens when she's at 100%? So if you push and push and push when they're not at 100%, there's a real possibility, one, they could get hurt, and two, they may never achieve that 100% because of what you're doing. So there's always these things going on. There are some horses that are on the verge of saying, okay, turn them out, we'll bring them back in the fall, because they're just not ready. There's nothing we could have done more or less to have them ready. There's nothing we can do or give them or have a vet check to fix them and make them be ready. If they're not ready, they're not ready. We all know that. You might you're hearing me say it, but you don't need me to say it. You guys know that. No matter if you know a lot about horse racing or not, you look at a horse like So Admirable on the track, fix that horse or turn her out in the field. And that's pretty much where we're at with her. Now, the good news is we do have a number of options to explore, before we take the shoes off her and turn her out in the field. But that is on the table, as it should be, for every horse. You're not ready to go. You're only shooting yourself in the foot, pretending they are. And then, speaking of Sunshine in May, maturity-wise, she should be fine. She's only a little midget, and she get into the first turn, rolled off. She tries. You never say she won't try. As far as maturity goes, I don't think there's that burning necessity to turn her out. She doesn't have a lot of body mass. She's only a tiny little thing. So it's just a matter of getting her qualified and finding a spot for her for the summer. If we go to race her a couple of times and it's not working out, then we'll have a different discussion. But for right now, Sunshine in May, she rolled off today, made a little break. Not the end of the world. She'll be back within a week. I think, as I said to the guys that work for Kevin, she might be a filly. We'll take the Grand River and qualify. Excuse me. There's no real need to bring her back to a giant track. You know, it looks it looks like somebody on one of those little miniature bikes, right? That's what it looks like. So Sunshine in May is just a small filly, but that doesn't mean she can't do some good this year. Get her qualified, beat around, Hanover, Clinton, and those type of places with her. Who knows? But a useful horse could be in there. That will be up to her. So overall, we had a decent day today. I didn't do any top 10 lists, but listen, I don't need to tell you the top 10 list. GW Chrome, Lincoln, Hanover. You know what? I'll be honest. I've been throwing shade on Walk on the Moon for a long time, right? I've been saying, he's okay. Yeah, he's a pretty good horse. He's top 10. I went with GW Chrome today, and I love GW Chrome. I think he's a fantastic horse. For all the right reasons, I love this horse. Walk on the Moon looked like the best horse today. Him and No Free Lunch together were the two best horses that we put on the racetrack today. That we put on the track today. I was very happy with Walk on the Moon, very happy with No Free Lunch. Lincoln Hanover looked incredible. That's the first time I've gone with Lincoln Hanover in a very long time, and I was very, very impressed by him. GW Chrome was great. Here's a horse that never gets a shout out, but call a spade. Brilliant Corners, a lot to learn, but there's something there. There's enough raw talent. I was happy today, and I've said a lot of derogatory things towards Brilliant Corners and about Brilliant Corners, but call a spade 27-4, 57 flat, a mile in 2 minutes. Yes, he was hot. Yes, he was a runaway. No, you're not going to have a lineup of drivers to drive him, but there's something there, and I was impressed by him today. Who else impressed me today? Fox Valley Britsko was okay. Surreal Love was okay. Braemar was impressive. You guys might not have seen it. Go back and watch a video a couple of times. I don't even ask him till halfway down the lane, and he's flying at the wire. Braemar looked good. Another horse with a lot to offer, but also has the brains and is starting to figure it out. Where we was up was okay. I'm looking. Blue Monk was pretty good today. Again, No Free Lunch was outstanding. Momo! Credit where credit is due. Momo looked very, very, very good today. In fact, as much as I thought she looked good today, looked infinitely better than I thought she would. Very happy with Momo today. Also, Well and Down was okay. She was okay. Who do we have in the next one? Captain's Maid was okay. So Admirable tried, but as I said, we're coming to a fork in the road with her. Either we get those wrinkles out of her, or Father Time will. Dr. Green and Father Time. And then Sunshine in May was okay. So a pretty decent weekend, a good start. We have a number of horses that still have to go again. We might even find a race for a couple of these horses if they start riding them at Mohawk. There's a number of horses that are ready to go. GW Chrome could go anytime. And if we don't get a race for him next week, we might just take him right to Ohio. But I would like to race him here once. So anyway, that is the qualifying report for today. We had 26 go behind the gate. Pretty decent day overall. Some that were a little lackluster, some that were good, some that were really good, and some that were much better than I thought they'd be. So a good day all around. Now, this is Friday. I got the night off. I'm going to get a pizza, I'm going to have a couple of drinks with my wife, and I might even watch the races. If I don't watch the races, I'll watch a movie. But I'll watch something. I hope everything is going good with you today. I hope you got a chance to look at your horses. If your horse didn't go well or wasn't in today, brighter days ahead. If your horse did go good today, congratulations. And if your horse didn't, then hey, there's always next week. So most of these horses will be returning to the qualifiers next week, and you'll have some new ones coming out also. Still a bunch of horses to qualify. I think around 48 or 50 are pretty well ready to go within the next couple of weeks, and only how many we have? Only 39 of them went, so another 11 for sure waiting in the barn. I will talk to you guys soon. It is a sunny day here in Ontario. I hope it's sunny wherever you are. I hope you had a great day. Take care.